Hi, and welcome to this special edition of Cinetopia Radio, covering the 2026 Edinburgh International Film Festival. I'm Amanda Rogers, and today I'm joined by Garry, Arnot, and Mariana Duarte as we share our thoughts on some of the films we've seen across the festival, including Louis Paxton's opening film, The Incomer, Molly Mannor's Extra Geography, Tamra Davis's The Best Summer, Gregg Araki's I Want Your Sex, and Hirokazu Kore-eda's The Sheep in the Box, alongside many of the films competing for this year's Sean Connery Prize for Feature Filmmaking Excellence. We also have a packed program of interviews from across the festival. A huge thank you to Veronica Buccino, who joined me in the press lines and for our sit-down interviews. Together, we spoke to some of the cast and crew of Extra Geography, Tom Courtenay and Anna Calder-Smith from Queen at Sea, Bart Simpson about the mad world of Harvey Kurtzman, Finlay Pretsell about Douglas Gordon by Douglas Gordon, and Tamra Davis about The Best Summer. So settle in for films, filmmakers, and conversations from the 2026 Edinburgh International Film Festival. For more reviews and the full interviews featured on today's show, visit the Cinetopia YouTube channel or head to our website and blog at cinetopia.co.uk. Okay, and welcome to our Edinburgh International Film Festival edition. I think we've been doing this for like 6 years, so this is really exciting. And in this lovely EHF studio, this is one of the opportunities we get to come to the studio and actually be in the room with everybody, part of the team. So I got team members who have been on the show recently, both of you, Mariana and Garry, and I've seen you both running around the film festival to all the different kinds of events. So how are you guys doing and how are you enjoying the festival?
Yeah, it's been full on as always. August is always, I think now that the festival's in August with everything else, it's always a super hectic month. But yeah, it's been good fun. And yeah, me and Mariana have both running around covering it, but we've never podcasted together before.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's our first debut.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been running around as well, frazzled, trying to cram as many movies as possible. I haven't spoken to another person in days. So
well, you spoke to
me. I spoke to you. I spoke to you yesterday, and then that was it for the rest of the day. So it's nice to see other people and not on a screen.
Yeah. So Garry, you've been at probably more of these Edinburgh International Film Festivals than all of us. You've been covering the festival for a while. How have you felt this festival has been going so far?
Really good. I think it's really finding its feet now since Paul Rudd and Emma Boa kind of rebooted it. I think is they're calling it. I think this is their third year, and yeah, I think it feels pretty different to how it did kind of before COVID and all that. So it's kind of gone through it's gone through a bit of an evolution over the last I guess 10 years. I was saying to somebody the other day, this is my 14th year covering it, so it's insane. But yeah, I think they're doing a really good job. I think the Midnight Madness strand has been popular. I don't know if I can focus for anything at midnight, so I haven't attended any of them, but I love trying to go to what I can. So yeah, it's been really good fun and a great program as usual.
Yeah, did any of you make it to the Train Spotting at Leith Theatre event?
No, I didn't. I love Train Spotting, but I had something else on the same night, so I couldn't go. But yeah, I did get to Ceilidh dance with Kevin McKidd at the Ceilidh.
Right.
So
okay.
Great. So that's basically the same then.
Yeah,
for the same.
Yeah. So I came in a little bit later. We will be this will be on air the day after the film festival, but the opening was The Incomer, and we'll be talking about that, and we'll be talking about quite a few films together. But I guess I thought I would start to ask you both about this film. I'm really excited to see this when I can, because Louis Paxton's a local. We've had him on the show a few times, and I think I've heard really good things. But were you both at the opening, or saw at least in this press and industry screenings early on?
I went to the press screening, so beforehand. And it's funny because I used to be an usher at Filmhouse before it closed, and so was Louis.
Oh, right.
So I feel like a kindred spirit
Yeah.
in him. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it at the press screening, and I hear that the public screening was very popular as well.
Yeah, so they had 3 public screenings all happening in 3 different cinemas before the opening night. So I was at the Filmhouse one, and Louis Paxton was speaking a little bit before it and introducing the film, and he mentioned having worked at the film house as an usher. And he was almost like welling up when he was introducing the film, which was really sweet to see. And I think the film went down really well. It's great to have a Scottish comedy, which, I mean, we've got a lot of Scottish comedy things on TV, but we don't really get that many like sort of outright Scottish comedies in the cinema. So I think it's really special to open the festival with that. And yeah, I think Donald Gleeson, being Irish, was in amongst a mostly Scottish cast. So I guess he was an incomer in the film and an incomer in the cast as well, in terms of like his nationality. But I think it was a real good, like, quirky crowd pleaser to kick off the festival.
So how would you characterize the film then, in just general?
It's spiritually very Hunt for the Wilder People,
Right?
It's kind of like that really quirky, fun romp of a comedy. It's not. It constantly like surprises you with like crazy things that these people get up to, and the characters are so fun. Like the two siblings are hilarious, and they have such a fun chemistry because it's like these sheltered siblings who have never spoken to another person in like 30 years, so they're just completely feral, and they're so funny. They beat each other up, and they have really great banter. And then Donald Gleeson comes in, and it just like shifts the dynamic between them, and it's like a really fun, like, fish out of water, both sides kind of way. They're out of water with him, and he's out of water with them. It's really fun.
Yeah, there's kind of like Hunt for the Wilder People, like you said. It's kind of this like deadpan, offbeat humor, but but there's kind of like Wicker Man, sort of local hero kind of energy to it as well. So you can tell that it's like crafted by a filmmaker who like loves film and loves the history of film and loves Scottish film.
Exactly.
And folk history as well.
Yeah.
It's like it's like we had the folk horror festival earlier this year, and it's like a folk comedy almost. Like it feels very like it's like adjacent to the Wicker Man, but it's like the opposite side where it's just the funny version of it.
Right.
You know? It's great.
Well, when I saw the poster, I thought a lot actually about Local Hero. Like there's like reminiscent of that, and then I hear it's folk horror adjacent, which you know, watch this space. We never know. There might be
local hero some days.
Love it. Yeah, no, that sounds good. So overall, you really enjoyed the film?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be one of my favorites of the year. Like
really,
overall, I think of all the movies, not just the festival.
Great.
I really loved it.
Great, and it's going to reach wider audiences as well. It's getting a cinema release, I think, on the 4th of September, so not too long to wait for people to see it.
Yeah, actually, and also it got picked up. It I think this is the one that I was excited to see, but it won an award at Sundance and then got picked up, I think, by Universal. So it's going to do a big, huge release in the U.S. So I mean, really great opportunity, especially if it's a really good Scottish film.
Yes,
that
helps.
You know, if it's going to get sort of an international sort of push for that, it's exciting to see Scottish film make it, you know, all across the world and really sort of so that's really special. So everybody, we recommend The Incomer, which will come out, as Garry said, on the 4th of September. So check that out. So the next film we're going to review was sort of on our recommendations as well, was Sheep in the Box. It was having its UK premiere, I think, here. And fantastically timely right now in the moment of discussing AI and whatnot. Mariana, tell us about this film.
So Sheep in the Box is the latest Kore-eda film in the canon of Kore-eda children. It's about a couple who lost their son through what we learn is a kidnapping. Is like a whole thing in the city, and they are contacted by this local company that creates AI simulacrum of your family member who's died, so you can have that person in your house, kind of creating memories and kind of guiding you through your grief, I guess. And it's about their relationship with this synthetic child who seemingly has feelings as well, but you can't really know. But it's the relationship between the mother and this child who she really misses, and like their evolving relationship with the actual robot outside of his similarities to the son. So it's kind of a meditation on grief and on artificial intelligence and what it means to be a human being, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, as like you say, yeah, meditation on a lot of things. Like I think we mentioned this the other day, Amanda, when we saw each other. I think it's beautifully made, but I was expecting something a little bit more like incisive from Kore-eda. I think he can be such a master at like telling these types of stories. So it does feel like a very much Kore-eda film in terms of its like pacing and its tone and the music that he uses. It's all lovely. Performances are great, but it kind of just feels like he's been away working, trying to figure out what he wants to say about AI or these like kind of humanoid robots. And while it just feels like we've had a lot of stuff about the same thing in the last maybe 5 years, and this for me like didn't really say anything new or different, or so yeah, I was a little bit mixed on it. I came away a little bit disappointed that it didn't delve a little bit deeper maybe into some of the themes.
Yeah, so a couple years ago, Clara and I reviewed a documentary that Dog Wolf had come out called Eternal You, and it was about how people who've lost someone are grieving and using sort of AI machines to do such. And there was one very particular moment where a mother sort of reconnected with their lost child. So ultimately, I found that film creepy, as you know, like completely the most creepy thing I've ever seen, and that's real. So when I didn't know what to expect with this, but I felt like this was a really interesting narrative, film about that, like, and I was, I thought it was quite beautiful, as you said, but I also thought, it freaked me out, like, and this like the normalcy of having the robot child, like there were so many moments like where I was like, oh, so I walked out of there like still creeped out. Like it was more of a horror film for me than like some of the horror films we've been seeing, like maybe than Backrooms, right? Like,
scarier than that for sure.
But just but also I think it is really I thought it was an interesting sort of take on how certain people deal with grief, and how and maybe also just like a mother and father's version of dealing with grief, and and also sort of their perception of how this would work and how it wouldn't, and I mean, I got a lot out of it. I think it's certainly the music and the just the architecture of. I mean, the mother is an architect, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
There's a lots of questions about like what it is to be human, what it is to be a creative person, and and having that process of exploring what the natural world as well. So I thought those things really worked well as a film. Whether or not it was it was saying much more for AI, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that it's the best movie to make now. Like I think nowadays we're so bombarded with AI being used to steal from artists that it feels like putting this type of story on film is like, well, this isn't like these robots aren't really feeling. They don't have feelings. They're just also at related to the horror of it, I think they could have, I think, dealt with some of the abject horror of basically forcing a dead person to live on forever, because this is like the people who are being brought back to life in this way aren't choosing. They can't consent to their image being used. So they're just like, now there's just these similes of them walking around, and it's creepy. It's a bit, I love Kore-eda so much, and I was so excited for it because I thought Monster was just stunning. And I think he deals with humanity in such a tender way. But because I hate AI so much. So I just want to kick those kids. I wanted those little robot kids in the woods. I just want to kick them. Like, you suck. You're a fake person. I don't like you. So I was like, I can't like let myself feel these feelings because like my brain is like, no, AI sucks.
Yeah, he takes a bit of a surprising stance on it because, like you say, he always tells these stories about the human condition. And I wouldn't say this. I don't know. It's like I don't know if this is like a completely pro AI film, but then it's not like anti AI. It's not. So it kind of like it feels like it's somewhere in the middle. It just all feels a little bit ponderous. It's not like quite sure where it sits. Maybe it sits on the fence a little bit. That humans and AI can be work in harmony together. Yeah, can coexist. Yeah.
Well, like the AI movie, the artificial intelligence movie, the Spielberg one.
Yeah.
But that was so long ago before we had all this nightmare that we have now.
Yeah, he was ahead of his
time. So now you could like, I don't know if now this is the time for this. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think you were saying that, Garry, that maybe it feels a bit dated, right? Yeah. Like they thought about it quite early, and now we're like we're here.
Yeah,
at this.
There was a Black Mirror episode actually with Donald Gleason.
Oh yeah,
where
I love
I think he dies, and then his wife brings him back as a robot to kind of get over her grief, and so
is this see you. Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
I see you again or something like that.
Yeah, but that must have been like 10 years ago or something.
Yeah.
So it does feel like this is a little bit late to the party. It's a little bit like Black Mirror light, a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of these shows or films, and I'm just now like experiencing experiencing reality. I saw my first. I think we were in the last show where we were talking. I saw my first robot in the wild, and I was like, "What?" in Miami.
I started a PhD in film on movies about artificial intelligence.
Oh,
so
wow.
like I've read I didn't finish the PhD, I quit, but
that's okay.
I did sorry, but I did research a lot about like transhumanism and the ways that we use we kind of translate humanity into robots, and so much has been made already about this. So like there's so many films and TV shows like Humans on Channel 4 and Bicentennial Man, and to a certain extent The Matrix. Like there's all these things. So it was like, it feels like you said dated and also like insufficient, because you could make that story, you can tell that story now, but I don't know that if you tell it this way, it's as successful as like something like After Yang, which came out a few years
I was
ago,
going to say it had an after Yang feel.
Yeah, that was more, I think, effective for me because there wasn't like, this used to be a child and now it's more like this is a fully new person that is an artificial intelligence person.
Yes.
So what's that relationship like? So it feels less like we've got this this effigy for our dead son that is now living about, and
creepy,
very creepy, extremely creepy.
After Yang was the closing film a couple years ago at the film festival as well. So I got some of those vibes as well. Any other thoughts on the film?
I just think it's like we said, it's a saturated space. I think for people who haven't like maybe you, Amanda, or people that haven't seen all these Black Mirror episodes and other sort of versions of the same story, then they'll maybe enjoy this a lot more than the people who have. I guess.
Well, if you're a Kore-eda completionist, you got a better run to the cinema to catch
exactly. And if you really like beautiful architecture,
it is gorgeous. I have a letterboxd list of movies that feature houses I want to live in, and that one
was one.
And
take a picture of it, put an AI, and like build your house for you.
Oh, creepy city.
Anyway, so that is Sheep in the Box, and we're on to our next. So I Want Your Sex, Gregg Araki film. It's going to be coming out actually in a couple weeks as well, I think. But it was having its UK premiere here at the Edinburgh International Film Festival, and you guys just saw it. So tell me about it.
So it's the latest film from Gregg Araki. It stars Cooper Hoffman, who plays a kind of unemployed media student, I guess, who gets a job working as an assistant for this contemporary pop artist called Erica. She's played by Olivia Wilde, and it's about their relationship and I guess the manipulation and control between them. Her as his employer, and they kind of embark on this unusual relationship where she kind of makes him her sex slave. He's in a relationship as well at the time with his girlfriend's played by Charlie XCX, and yeah, it kind of kicks off from there.
It's also kind of like a murder mystery, like it's framed as like a murder mystery because he's being
Yes.
interrogated by the police. And we don't know why.
I kind of hate those like framing devices. I have to say, like that like opening scene. I guess like I mean it's in the first scene. It's probably in the trailer. I don't know if I've seen the trailer, but like there's blood and there's an incident and there's a swimming pool at the beginning, and then it kind of jumps forward to like 9.5
Like,
weeks
oh, I wonder.
earlier.
This is me. Do you want to know how I got here? And then it
Yes.
flashes back to
Yeah.
9.5 weeks ago, which is a funny little
Nice.
reference.
Yes, and yeah, I don't know. Like, I think with this one, I expected it to be a bit more like daring and shocking, and like, for lack of a better term, it feels like it kind of spunks its load in the first like half an hour, and then it's yeah, I don't know if it was as impactful as I thought it was going to be, but that's not to say that like I do think it's good, and I think the performances are really good. I like Cooper Hoffman, and I think Olivia Wilde's having like between this and The Invite, she's having quite a year.
She's the absolute standout of this film. Like I could watch about 9 hours of her doing that character because it's so fun. She's having a blast.
Yeah. And I did like how it looks. It kind of like takes place in this kind of version of reality where it doesn't really feel like it feels a bit detached from reality, and it's kind
It's
of
very Gregg Araki. It's like these sound stages that are apartments.
yeah. And it takes place in the world of like contemporary art, so it's kind of got this like kind of pop art latex sheen to the sort of cinematography and stuff. So yeah, what do you think about Mariana?
I mean, I like it, I think. I dislike stunt casting generally because I've been watching a lot of Gregg Araki movies recently, and his early work doesn't have any of that. So now it feels like he has access to all these famous people, so he just puts them in his movies. And like Olivia Wilde totally works because she's amazing and she does such a great job, and she's a main character, so it doesn't feel like she's a stunt cast. But like, why is Charlie XCX there? She doesn't do anything in the movie. She's not good in it. She doesn't serve any purpose. Why is Johnny Knoxville there? Why is why is he a police officer? Like, why is he a detective?
It took me a while to
really
figure out that was Johnny Knoxville. And
Well,
I was watching
I
going
clocked
like,
him immediately.
so like I know that I know who that is, but it took me like a couple of scenes to go, oh yeah.
I think
Johnny
I watched
Knoxville.
that Is It Cake clip so many times that with him and in that TV show that I can clock him from like a mile away. Yeah, it was fine. Like you said, it's like it doesn't feel as daring as it could. It's like that thing of like everybody's is hot now, but nobody's sexy. It's like it's a very hot looking movie, but it's really not very erotic. And they do make a point of that in the film. There's like a section where they do discuss like what's eroticism, and like the Americans in the context of the film are more into like shock value than actual eroticism, and it doesn't feel very sexy. It's just like shocking BDSM.
Yes.
Like she's a dom, he's a sub, and she's doing all kinds of crazy stuff to him.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, there's a dildo, and there's lube, and you're like, holy crap! But it doesn't hit, and I don't know if that was the intention. Like I couldn't tell if the filmmaker intended for me to not feel anything about the sex scenes, or if he tried really hard and it just didn't land.
I think like there's a lot of that so early in the film that it kind of like I felt a little like desensitized to it like quite early, and then there was no shock value left to get any value out of. Like it feels like maybe they could have like I guess like I think of films like Wuthering Heights or whatever, and people were talking about the yearn and like the build up and the suspense, whereas it feels like this one kind of had none of that. That kind of like.
Well, did you see Wuthering Heights and think there was yearn in that?
I mean,
I panned it on our show.
I will not see it. I have no interest in seeing that. But I'll believe anybody who tells me that there's yearning in it.
I mean, to an extent, I say that's what they were going for.
Yeah, that's what they were going for.
Well, I guess this isn't about yearning. This is about sexual gratification, which I guess they succeed at because they do have gratifying sex in the film. Just that as an audience member, I was like, okay, I've seen this before.
Yes.
You know, I've seen 50 Shades of Grey. It's just about the same level, except you see more, topless women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's one full frontal man, which honestly, I expected better from Gregg Araki. I think he should have shown us more naked people in the film if you wanted to milk that 18 rating. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think there was one C-bomb and then like a couple of full frontals,
Yeah,
and
it's
it got
like
its 18 rating.
You promised me an 18. Give me an 18, Like, I'm just sitting there watching people wearing latex. I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of boring. This could have been a 15, I feel like. With a couple of cuts, it could have been a 15 in the UK.
Yeah.
UK 15.
I think, I don't know what it is. Is R in the US, I think?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, so it's kind of a mixed bag here for this film, huh?
Yeah, it's but I think it's been a controversial, like, people, it's kind of like a Marmite film. People either love it or feel kind of mid about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm still gonna see it because I'm like on an Olivia Wilde like obsession case
for sure.
Yeah, it's
For her especially.
Yeah, it's worth a look for the performances, and I didn't love it, but
Well, this is the first time I've enjoyed watching Cooper Hoffman. So
really,
yeah,
because you don't like Licorice Pizza.
I hate Licorice Pizza so much. Paul Thomas Anderson, you will pay for your crimes. And I also didn't like The Long Walk. He was fine in it. I don't have a problem with him. I just feel like he lives under the shadow of Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I don't know that.
Yeah.
So this feels like something that is his own,
right?
and I really liked him in this. Yeah.
Okay.
Olivia Wilde, though, she steals the show. She's amazing. I love her so much in this.
Yeah, okay, so that's I Want Your Sex. It's going to come out in cinemas very shortly, so take a look for it and go see it. One of the things that has been really exciting about the Edinburgh International Film Festival is it has this new Sean Connery Prize, so £50,000. Has to be a world premiere, and some of these films, have quite some big, filmmakers attached to them. And I wanted to know what, of all the ones that you've seen. I mean, I know that we're still in the process of seeing everything. What you thought about some of these world premiere films that are up for the competition. It seems like, Mariana, you've seen a lot of them, haven't you?
Accidentally, I have somehow managed to see a lot of them. I didn't plan it, but very, very exciting.
And Pretty Babies, what did you think?
Yeah, Pretty Babies was definitely a film that I saw.
You didn't like?
I didn't love it.
Okay.
It's just mostly I'm kind of tired of movies about women turning to sex work.
Right.
Which is it's really well made, and the actresses are amazing. So I do think there's a lot of potential there. It's just like I don't think it's for me, but I know that a lot of people like it. I know that it's been very well received. So I think maybe I'm just not the audience member for it. But the main actress, she's very good. So I think it will find its audience and people will really get into it.
Right.
Yeah.
And Capsized. Garry, you saw Capsized?
Yes, I did. I saw Capsized. It's it's a debut feature from an American filmmaker called Lindsay Ryan. It's like this kind of ensemble comedy family piece. It's very sweet. It's very well written. It's got Risa Fans that plays the father of the family, and Lily Rabe plays the mum. And the they find that they're going to get evicted from their home, so take a bit of an impromptu vacation on their houseboat. And there's kind of like there's lots of different little subplots with the various different members of the family, but there's like a consistent tone to it. It's really good. And also like there's quite a bit of ambition in terms of like a first time film, because a lot of it is all done like practical effects on a boat. So it's like fair play to Lindsay Ryan for taking on that challenge for her first film. So yeah, I think it's been going down really, really well. And it's worth seeing for sure.
Great. And did you see Capsize?
I did not, but I've heard great things.
Okay. Well, that sounds pretty good. Out There, you saw though?
I did, yes. It was a Welsh film. I don't remember the name of the director, but
Simon
yes.
Reinings or something.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's like a Welsh comedy drama about a young teenage girl whose dad passes away in an accident in a military base, and she thinks that it's because he was abducted by an alien. So it's like her pairing up with this like crazy conspiracy guy trying to prove that there's alien technology in this military base. And it's very Welsh. If you're at all familiar with 90s indie Welsh rock bands, they're all represented in this movie. The soundtrack is amazing. And I think it's a debut feature for the main actress, and she's so fun. And her little sister has Down syndrome, and she's like involved with this like little gang of little boys who call themselves the Bad Men, and they just creates all sort of hijinks and wreak havoc in the little seaside town. It's so fun. It's really unique, and it's like a 90s teen dramedy. It's great. I had a great time.
Great. And you didn't see First Zone. Neither of you saw First Zone.
You
saw First Zone too? See, Mariana for the win here.
I'm parked in the Sean Connery competition. That was wild. I put it on my list to watch, and I forgot what it was about. So I walked in and was like, what is the movie about? It's a Dutch post-apocalyptic drama about a woman who she's living in this like zone, like lockdown zone in like a post-flood. It's like the world has been engulfed by a flood. So she ends up like miles away from where she's supposed to be. So it's just her getting back home. It's like an odyssey, I guess. And it's, her dealing with trauma and kind of really meeting all these people along her journey. And it's an incredibly ambitious film. I mean, they filmed it all at sea, basically. It's like Waterworld, but good. And it's really sad and ponderous, and I think you do have to kind of suspend your disbelief about the rules and logic of this post-apocalypse, because it's very recent, so you're like, does this make sense that it was did this way? But you can kind of ignore it, and it's very, very sad, but also it's very interesting. It's like, I don't know. I really liked it, and I can't even pinpoint why. I just really I thought it was very, very weird but good.
So, out of all of those, do you have a favorite? I mean, we're going to talk about Mission as well.
I mean, Mission is my favorite.
Okay.
But out of the ones before, Out There was my favorite.
Out There.
I really liked it.
And so you both saw Mission. I saw George Mackay walking around.
Same thing then. Basically, you saw Mission.
Just around Edinburgh. But Mission, tell me about this film.
Mission is about a young man who's called Dylan, right? Who's played by George Mackay, who is going through a manic episode, basically. So he quits his job and he decides that he has a week that he wants to live it up for a week, and it's a week of a manic episode that this person is having. And he has a lot of issues with depression, and it's also his relationship with his sister, who's played by Rosie McGowan, who's amazing. Love her. And yeah, it's just very sad. I didn't cry during the movie, but I cried walking home from the movie. I feel like it just hit me as I was walking home, and I just started sobbing in the meadows. It's a really impactful, bleak, beautiful film.
And another Scottish film as well.
Yes.
George Mackay does another really good Scottish accent.
Great.
I get it's like with his name being Mackay, like people will be forgiven for thinking he's Scottish, but essentially not. But yeah, it's a follow-up from the director Paul Wright, who did For Goes in Peril. That was a Edinburgh Film Festival film like 13 years ago or something. I really like George Mackay in this. I think he's like seems to like straddle this kind of space around being successful and being able to front like huge films like 1917, and then he'll go and do like little indie films and little strange things. And I think like he's really like pushing the boundaries and not kind of falling into this like do a successful indie and then become a Marvel superhero like path that a lot of people take. Like, so I really like that he's like.
Well, he's clearly choosing projects that he's passionate about,
Yes,
and they're
exactly.
interesting to him. And very like really powerful character work rather than fame. And and he is famous and he is successful and he's amazing, but it does feel like all that came from just doing really solid, good, great films.
Yes, he played a character that had like is it body dysphoria, I think it's called, where he like
Body dysmorphia.
Sorry, yeah. They thought he was a wolf about like 5-6 years ago or something, and this performance in Mission kind of reminded me of that. I will also say I thought Eamon Elliott, really good Scottish actor, he's great in this as well.
Yeah.
He's also really good in The Incomer.
Yes,
He's
so
winning the
good at
award
that.
for like best supporting actor across 2 films at the festival this year. He's really good.
A lot of overlap then.
Yeah.
So the Mission is definitely one to see.
Yeah, although
I'd say so.
prepare yourself, bring tissues. And
Yeah.
kind of go when you're not sad, because then you'll be
Yes.
sad afterwards for sure.
And finally, there's the only one documentary in the in the competition, The Mad World of Harvey Kurtzman. And Garry, you got to sit down with the filmmaker, the director, and we also did as well for the show. Veronica did, but tell us a little bit about that film.
It's about the guy who was behind Mad magazine or Mad Comics in like 1930s New York. It's called Harvey Kurtzman, and I think he was quite a private man, but quite a very creative guy. He I think like one of the things that the director said when I interviewed him is that he didn't want this to be a sort of puff piece documentary where he's just glorifying the guy, because I think he did have these like flaws. But it was interesting. He said that there's not really that much material on Harvey Kurtzman. It's not like there's lots of video footage of him, or like it's hard to get a sense of him based on just what's readily available. So they really had to kind of dig and go into the archives, and they got like I think like 26 boxes of like his old stuff they got from his wife, who's in the film but has since sadly passed away. And they kind of use these boxes as a treasure trove to kind of craft this film through the boxes. I think it's really nice. There's some stuff in there where him and his wife were writing love letters to each other, and he's got these little doodles and scribbles on letters. And there's an animation team that worked on the film that are based just outside Edinburgh called 2D Workshop. And they kind of worked on the film to bring these little scribbles to life in the film, which I think that was a really cool effect. So it was kind of one of my favorite things about the film.
Great, yeah. And so when we come back, we'll hear Veronica Buccino, part of our team, did an interview with Bart Simpson, the director, and we'll listen to a little bit of that.
So today it's the world premiere of The Mad World of Harvey Kurtzman, the creator of the satirist magazine Mad, first published in the 1950s. Were you familiar with the magazine before, or with Harvey as a person? How did you get involved with the story?
Sure. When I grew up, Mad I was kind of after Harvey. Well, I mean, I guess obviously, but it was after Harvey. I hope obviously. And my first memory of Mad was the magazine that was kind of geared towards sort of a younger audience. And I would go up in the summers to my friend's cabin with stock of Mads. But then once my father showed me an old digest of Mad. It was basically about this big, all in black and white, and it had Harvey's original work in it. And it scared me. It was like this. It looked a bit too real and familiar, but something was wrong. And that's the first time I sort of got engaged with Harvey Kurtzman. And then, of course, as a comics kid growing up, you would hear about these heroes of like the top cartoonists of all time, and Harvey would be on there. But I wouldn't really know much more about it than that until until I got later in life. Yeah, that's how it all started.
And the documentary includes unseen footage and interviews with Harvey, and as well crafted animation material from his archives, and also contribution with important figures such as the Simpson creator, Matt Groening, and the late Stan Lee. So how long did it take to put everything together?
Yes, well, any documentarian will always tell you it takes longer than you think. So I don't want to say what year, but basically a film I did before this was on the city of Brasilia, and I wanted to interview Oscar Niemeyer, who was 102 at the time. And so I went down to Rio, and I'm like waiting, and finally got him. It was his last interview. So after going through that process, I thought whatever next film I do is, I've got to, I'll be a bit more gentle. But we got the rights to this one, and it was very important for me to have the film told by Harvey as much as possible. So through as much archive as we could get, which initially wasn't a lot, and the people around him, the people most closely associated with him. So that meant a lot of people in their 90s. So it was another rush to get Al Jaffe and Adele, his wife, and a few other people. So that was 8 years ago maybe, and we did a couple of rounds of that. And then COVID hit, and then we really started going a few years ago. But it takes longer than you think. Yeah.
And I was working with Adele, Harvey's wife, who sadly passed away, and his daughters as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is trust, because I think there was interest from them certainly to actually get a documentary on Harvey for some time, but they. When I talked to them about it, I said, here's what I think we need to do with it. And they trusted us to go with that plan. So there was no intervention. And I just showed it to them recently, to Nellie and Meredith, the daughters, and they were very moved. And that's all you can really ask for. They were very generous with their time, and of course, all the archives, and wonderful to work with.
And I was working with the executive producer, Terry Gilliam.
Yes, well, it's funny because Terry was one of our last interviews. We tried to get him for a while, but he was so important because, again, he was one of Harvey's inner circle, and it takes you to a spot that you might not expect otherwise, to see how far-reaching Harvey's influence was. So we had a very good interview, and he was saw the film, was a huge fan of it. He wanted to be involved, and we moved forward from there. So it's a real pleasure. And again, he was super generous with his time. It still is. And we're glad to have him on board.
And the animation is the movie is also incredible. Who helped you with that?
Well, thank you. Well, actually, we're a true Canada-Scotland co-production. So Aconite Productions in Glasgow is our production company in Scotland. And through them, we got to work with 2D Workshop in just outside Edinburgh, who are amazing animators. And the challenge for me was, I remember I was interviewing Robert Crumb, and I told him I wanted animation because Harvey's no longer around. So I wanted to kind of bring him to life that way. And he went, animation? And I'm like, what am I going to do? I don't want to piss off Robert Crumb. So basically, because he had a bad experience with one of his works, Fritz the Cat. But the two things that kind of gave me comfort and latitude to actually experiment with the 2D Workshop and how we're going to do this is, one, that Harvey always wanted to be a filmmaker. That was clear. It's like so many cartoonists of his generation, they didn't have the money to do it. So that's why they created cartooning and the way that we know it now. And secondly, cinema is not the pages of a comic book. So we wanted to try and play with it, keep the integrity of the work, but also acknowledge that this is something different. And I think we succeeded.
That's amazing. And so what do you think have you learned from Harvey during the whole process? You learned this like important thing that you think that you want to become a filmmaker as well. What have you learned as well about him throughout the process?
Well, I think that first of all, his story is a bit too close to home for any artist, I think, who is trying to make a go of it. And you got to persist. You're always up against the money. Sometimes you make horrible decisions, and you've got to live with it and move on. And I mean, I think I got more persistent because of Harvey. In fact, the film took as long as it did because of all the challenges. But I think Harvey really helped me get through all that part in some way. And also, I think that, it gave me a new appreciation for what satire is, because Harvey created his language came about the exact same time as mass media, pop culture, and all that stuff was just starting to really formulate through television and wider broadcast of film and all that kind of thing. And what I realized is what satire gives us is this ability to laugh at something, but then we can stop and say, wait a minute, what the hell are we doing here? What world are we creating where, all these things are happening around it and we're still accepting it? So I think it's a pathway to a deeper conversation. So to laugh is one, but then beyond that, we get to actually have a real talk. And I that's what I really appreciate about his work.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And since the production happened between Canada and Scotland, and I also read that you lived in Glasgow for a while, how do you feel to be presenting your movie at the Edinburgh International Film Festival? Does it feel familiar for you?
Oh, I love it. It's great. I mean, two things. One, again, just the fact to celebrate that we're a Canada-Scotland co-production. I mean, John Grierson, I can blame him for starting documentary over here, then coming to Canada, starting the film board. I mean, we're joined at the hip between Canada and Scotland in so many ways. And I think now that the festival is where it is, we've got the book festival, the Fringe, and this festival at the same time. It's Harvey touches all of those spheres, so it feels very right for us to be here, and we're just thrilled to be here. I'm very thankful.
And the film is also in competition for the Sean Connery Prize for Feature Filmmaking Excellence. How does it feel to be competing for such a prestigious prize?
I just filled with gratitude. I mean, we're the only documentary in the category, so it feels like very honored, excited, and I'm super thrilled to meet all the other competition filmmakers. We've been having a great time this week, and it's one thing I want to acknowledge the festival for too is it's such a nicely curated festival. Like, you don't feel overwhelmed. Some festivals you go to and you get lost in the choice, but here it's like it really feels like there's an intention and there's an honoring of that kind of the whole process. So not only in the competition but also the other selected films as well. So I think that being in the Connery Prize is great. I mean, it's not much more to say other than I love it.
Yeah. How are you hoping the audience will take after today's premiere?
Well, I think it sort of goes back to what I was saying about about what satire does. Because I think that sometimes it can be hard to talk about certain issues. I mean, you go back to Harvey's war books, and it's like it was new back then to really kind of dissect why we go to war and like the human condition and cost of war. And even though that wasn't satirical, that was something that was talking about the human element and what it is that we're doing. And it gives us pause, I think. So I hope that this film gives access and ability for all of us to kind of laugh and take a step back and really kind of think about what we're doing. And also to have fun. I mean, the thing about this film is that it's like, I think there's a joy in drawing. It's such a primal thing. We've done it since we were all cave people. And everybody can do it. I do it very poorly, but just the joy of creation. It can be something very simple, and and that gives us something that we can't predict sometimes.
So next film we saw at press and industry screenings, and we'll hear a little bit from the filmmaker afterwards, is The Best Summer. This was one I was very excited to see. I'm a doc person, but I just love docs about 90s bands,
Yeah, same.
So I wanted to see what this was going to be. So this film is by Tamra Davis. And I just saw her Basquiat film, which I thought was fantastic as well. And it's really her collection of like home videos of touring with a whole, like there was like, it was called Somersault Festival in 1995, which had acts like the Foo Fighters, like right at the beginning of the Foo Fighters, like post Nirvana, like
1994 Foo Fighters.
Pavement, Beastie Boys features a lot because Tamra Davis was married to Mike D at the time. Bikini Kills, Sonic Youth, Kin Deal, and more. But Beck as well. So there's Big Beck. Rancid, yeah. Which I'm not. I know I wasn't Rancid, but
the clips of them playing were good though.
Yeah.
Do I like Rancid?
But it's a totally different take than maybe if you had seen like the Pavement doc, which we talked about last year. Alex Ross Perry did, and also the Beastie Boys by Spike Jonze. But I mean, it's very much watching. Kind of what it reminded me of a little bit is like when you go to you have like the tapes that hear the concert or something like that.
Yeah, like those bootleg tapes, which they were like the concert footage was just straight up bootleg.
Yeah,
concert
it was her,
her like panning between the musicians because she just had one camera.
Yeah, and it was literally home video, but like an insider bootleg.
Yeah, it's like what if you're bootlegging, but you're also the wife of one of the band members
of a very very famous band from the 90s.
Yeah, it was. I'm a child of the 90s, so I was born in the 90s, which means I couldn't enjoy those bands at the time. But my music taste is firmly still there.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite band of all time is Blur. I love Pavement so much. I love all those bands. So I just ran to that screening. I was so excited. And it's my favorite type of documentary where it's kind of like those like Amy and the Diego Maradona, where you're just letting the footage speak for itself. You're not like guiding the audience with all these talking heads. So it just feels like you're completely immersed in that experience. It's like you're there in Australia watching those concerts. And that's actually Kathleen, the Bikini Kill singer.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She's an incredible interviewer.
Yeah, she is.
She's the one who basically goes around and does interviews with the musicians from the bands, and she asks them really good questions, and they have really deep talks about music and artistry. So it was a very unexpected part of it to have these interviews. It was great.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was an unexpected thing. Like, this was never meant to be a documentary. This was literally like maybe they were gonna share this with each other later on. So they were talking amongst friends, and it is really good to see. I mean, it's fantastic to see people who are obviously, it's sad to see people who aren't with us anymore, in the bands, but also just to see, like, I think one thing I heard when people did reviews of it, it was at Sundance originally, is to watch like the Beastie Boys like just being on vacation together
just
and like actually being friends. So it really has that natural, I mean, it's obviously intimate, but like, just literally like an insider view of what, like, fly on the wall of what it would have been to be around very cool bands in the 90s.
It's like beyond cinema verite. It's like the next stage of and I think what I like about it so much, and I think it's what I like about 90s music, which I think was the last time rock music was authentic in the way, like, I think you watch musicians now and they're fine. The music's fine. It's just the brands feel so like established. It's all like, you can't be just a musician. You have to be a brand. You have to brand yourself. And they talk a little bit in the documentary about the balance between your public image and your private life. Yeah. But at the time we didn't have social media, so it was it was all like what's on magazines and what's not on magazines. But now the world is so oversaturated with musicians having to create this brand for themselves in order to sell music, because otherwise they can't make a living. So it just feels like very inauthentic in a way. So watching this is like, oh yeah, people always used to just like hang out and be like themselves and just go up on a stage wearing like whatever clothes that they had on before they went to the venue and just play music, and they just go home.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we were talking like, having seen the Beastie Boys documentary that was done on big Apple TV or something, it is nice to hear sometimes people talking about their past, but this is literally presently in the past. Whatnot. She's
not contextualizing anything. She's just like, here it is. It's kind of like the Star-Shaped documentary that Blur put out in like 1994. I think it was about the same time. It was when they were touring with Modern Life is Rubbish, which was their second album, and they were just like touring the festivals. It was like the summer festival tour that bands used to do. and it's literally just them getting filmed, hanging out,
Yeah.
going to like those convenience stores, and it's really, it's like nice to see them just living.
Yeah.
It feels like you really get an understanding of who these people are, and this is what this documentary feels like.
Yeah, and I actually really like I already thought they were all super cool.
Oh yeah, they're the coolest. All
But
of them.
like literally now from this, I'm like, they all are the coolest people ever.
Kim Gordon is
Yeah.
just and I didn't realize that they would brought their baby with them on
Yeah.
tour. And I'm like, that's so cool. Like there's
Yeah,
she's
she
got
was
their baby.
She was such a cool mom. Like
Yeah.
so I think it was handled with so much like respect because it
Yeah.
is an insider, but an insider who was like showing their best, like a summer of that was special to
Yeah,
them, and
yeah.
it was special to all of us, you know, like
Yeah, it
even
was
if
really
we weren't
lovely.
there, you know.
It feels like we were there. It
Yeah.
was lovely. Yeah. And and then the transition as well, which I loved, was from when they left Australia and a couple of the bands went on to the MTV Asia Festival
Yeah.
thing. And I think it's something you don't see a lot, which is like rock shows with a majority Asian audience.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like this really is universal music. Everybody loves this.
Right.
And they have fans all over the world, and I think it's really cool to see that and see like all those people in the audience. They were all sweaty as hell because it was
Yeah.
like somewhere in Indonesia, but they were having a great time, and the bands were having a great time. And I think that's something that is really meaningful to see as well.
Yeah, it's really like I love archive in general of all ages, and I like sometimes like modern archive, and this isn't totally modern, it's 90s, 30 years ago, but I just feel like this is a film that uses archive, and it's not like you don't expect, you know, like people expect certain things out of documentaries. It's raw, it's it's quite raw, but it's using it so well, and it's just a joy to watch. And obviously you have to probably like the music. And
Yes,
like,
that helps.
and want to be nostalgic for the 90s, whether or not you were 5 or didn't even exist in the 90s,
I was a little 3-month-old baby when I went.
but yeah, no, this was a fantastic film, the best summer. Really, really enjoyed it. And when we come back, we're gonna have a few we're gonna hear a bit from Tamra Davis herself. So I'm here with Tamra Davis, director of many films and TV, but here for her new documentary, The Best Summer. Tamra, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Firstly, I just want to say I loved your Basquiat film. I just saw it in January on the Criterion Channel. I hadn't seen it, but I love Basquiat exhibitions and stuff like that. And it's really one of my favorites
Thank you.
that I've seen. So I was really excited to see The Best Summer when I saw it was coming to Edinburgh. And as someone who works a lot with archive myself, I was always fascinated on how people use archive in documentary film. But with this is your archive.
Yeah.
It's your filming found 30 years later. How did you approach that when you found it? And what did you think about like discovering it and what you wanted to do with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know the story that I was evacuating from a fire. So I was like, grab what you can. This was the third time that I'd done this. And I have like these boxes of videotapes and Super 8 and film that I've like shot over the years. And so I had this box of tapes and I was like, God, it's the third time I've done this. What's on these tapes? And I had to buy a camera to look at the footage. And once I started seeing this footage, I just thought it was like just gorgeous footage of bands. And I didn't even remember I'd shot interviews or any of this stuff. So I looked back at it going like, I shot a whole documentary, like all this footage when I was on tour. And I don't know, Hollywood has been in such a weird state lately. And I'm a filmmaker. And I just thought, I'm just going to like open this up and see, can I make this into a film? And I considered lots of different ways to do it. Should I shoot everybody now? Should I just record everybody voiceover of their experience from this? And I realized the thing that I had that was so rare and interesting was this POV perspective of being on tour. And that's where I thought, like, that's the gem, is that nobody else had footage like this, and that I had this inside view. And that was really the strength of my footage, and so I just leaned into it. And I realized the best version of this film that I felt was really taking the viewer in this experience and making them feel like they're on tour, and kind of a first perspective. And that's so I went with that, and that felt right, and I started testing it, and that seemed to be the best way forward.
And it works so well just because it's like, you could have gone back and gotten interviews and stuff, but you let the footage breathe.
Yeah.
And that just feels so intimate.
Yeah.
But it also feels like you're part of something that you shouldn't, you would never get the opportunity to do.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. But you are, because you're an insider here and you're a connector even as well. How do you think, when you looked back at that footage, that those interviews and whatnot sort of worked because they knew you?
I think honestly I had just screened, I made a film about Jean-Michel Basquiat, and I had done a short before I made the feature film. And the short was just the footage of Jean-Michel and I speaking, intercut with him painting. And I'd shown that recently in Greece, in Athens, and all these women came up to me later and said, wow, they really saw that when Jean-Michel was when we were talking, they could see the connection that between the two of us, and what the strength of being a female gaze has behind the camera. And that really struck me. And I thought, like, as always, being a female filmmaker, you feel like, oh, the odds are so against you. And then I also was like, wow, that sometimes being a female filmmaker, you have strengths. And that was what I really leaned into. And I looked at my footage from The Best Summer, and I realized that's the connection that the people had looking at my camera, was this very intimate look, and that when they're looking at the camera, they're looking at me, a friend, and that there was a strength in that. And so, so I looked at that and thought, that is really kind of this amazing thing between two people, and that's the strength that you can have it if you know people, or, if you have this kind of intimacy, that's like one of the best tools that you have as a filmmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also feels like, that they're human beings, the people who we now look at and like, oh, wow, wouldn't that be so amazing to have seen that concert? But at a really critical period in their life, and also it shows a lot of play, like things that you wouldn't, like, you BC Boys on vacation and whatnot. But how did you sort of approach what you wanted, when you had all that footage, what you wanted to keep in and what you didn't, what you chose to kind of remove?
I kind of at first thought I was going to make a movie just about somersaults. So I thought, like, oh, that's what it was going to be. And I looked at it, it looked beautiful, but it was this happy look. But then the more I looked at my footage, I realized that tour went on, and that the three bands, Beastie Boys, Sonic Youth, and Foo Fighters, went on to Asia. And when I saw that switch happen, I realized that it kind of really felt like what it was like being on tour. That yes, you have these fun, happy times, but you also sometimes feel isolated. Sometimes the bands get closer and closer together. And sometimes things don't always go right when you're on tour. There's like problems and stuff. And so I felt like then it started to really feel like a feature to me. It felt like, wow, this is really what it feels like to be on the road. And and I thought, like, that kind of gave it an experience. And that's what I was trying to do, is give the audiences also an experience while they watched it, of what it felt like to be on the road at this time.
Was that your first tour then?
No.
It wasn't your first tour.
No.
But do you remember that specific tour before you saw that footage?
Kind of. I mean, I definitely remember being in Australia, being at Somersault, but I'd just gotten married to Mike from the Beastie Boys, and I guess we'd met in '88. So, I knew him from then, and I'd probably been on, I don't know, 4 or 5 tours with him before that. And because I was am a filmmaker, I always had cameras in my hand. But it just so happened that specific one, that Kathleen Hanna and we like palled up, and we decided to do interviews. And then that's what took it from just being like all this footage that I'm always filming on the side of the stage to actually being a documentary.
Yeah. And she was an incredible interviewer.
It was amazing. And I didn't remember that we even did that. And so when I looked at it and found it, I called Kathleen. I was like, Kathleen, you're not going to believe this footage I found. And she was like, oh no, did I do something? And I was like, no, it's good. It's good. Yeah.
One of the things that it took for me as I was watching the footage was, it is home footage, but it's obviously from a filmmaker who knows how to, composition and whatnot. And there's this one shot with like the strobe lights on Sonic Youth that is just so stunning. And it's so great to see it in cinema.
Yeah.
And I just wondered if you, like how you felt about working with, now looking at the high 8 footage, and also just sort of how you dealt with the sound and all the, all the technical things, because you wouldn't, a lot of people would go on a tour like that now would probably take a whole camera unit, and you would just come off of Billy Madison. But here you have, how did you use the video and like work with it now?
I know. I was really amazed that when I shot the concert footage, I turned the camera on and I did full takes of songs. So that's where my sound came from. All the concert footage is from my Sony Handycam. And in those days, it was before in-ear monitors. So all the monitors on the stage is what the band heard. So it was beautiful sound on stage. And so I was recording that sound. So it sounds stunning. So I got all the bands to approve like the sound, which is coming from my Sony Handycam. So technically, music-wise, that was really nice. But then all my interviews sounded terrible. Like they were, nobody was mic'd. It was just my Handycam in the room picking up everything. But I just worked on a documentary for Paramount Plus, and I realized like there's so many things they can do now where they just push a few buttons. And so I ran my audio through that, and it sounded like I mic'd everybody. And I was like, oh my God, now it sounds too good. I had to add sound back in because I just can't believe they were able to isolate people's voices to such an extent. It sounded all microphone. So yeah, I played with those kinds of aspects in it. And I just realized also that my camera work at that time, I shot maybe 150 music videos, and a lot of those bands I had made music videos for. So I knew who plays which part. So I knew where to put my camera. But I am impressed myself with my operating in those times because they're full one-shot takes. And so but the thing that you're also looking at is you're looking at me as a fan, where my eye goes. So it's what I looked at while I was filming. So it's like, oh, there's Adam's part, or oh, there's Kim Gordon. And so my eye is going like what a fan would look like, or, what a tennis, if you're watching tennis, where the ball is. So that's kind of, my eye is following what my eye would have looked at naturally while watching.
Yeah. And a lot with documentary is access. And clearly you were part of the team. But now a lot of people have become really big, whatnot, and gone on, and you've been able to get them all to agree to this.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, that was also what was so unique on this is I made the film myself and I put up my own money for it. And then that way I didn't have notes from any executive. So I was able to show my film to the band members to get their approval and if they had any notes. And then instead of it becoming a note, it became a collaboration, and it became like, oh, what a great idea, or things like that. And so I really loved that process of just making it something that, and I test screened it to audiences. So I got like their notes. And so it was really so fun and amazing to do a film that was based on like what the artists and the audiences wanted and not what the executives were asking for. And that is what I think like made it kind of an amazing film that got me into Sundance, that allowed me to get into all these different festivals.
Yeah. And you were at Sundance, but you've been touring it. Tell me a little bit about how people are responding to the film.
Well, that's what's been the most exciting thing is I've been working in Hollywood for, God, I don't even know how many decades, like 4 decades pretty much. And lately, in the last 2 decades, when you make something in Hollywood, you make a film, you deliver your film, and then you have no audience interaction. It basically goes right to Netflix or Paramount or whatever. It just goes right to the streamer. And so having a film and being able to see it with an audience is like one of the most incredible experiences. It's like we've lost that in a weird way. And so that's been just so fulfilling to be able to show this film to audiences, and also to have to stand as a filmmaker in front of an audience and get Q&As. You're like, what are they going to say? You know, how are they going to respond to me? What are they going to ask me? And that vulnerability, and you lose that, you know, when, you know, currently working in Hollywood, and you also lose that connection between yourself and an audience. And so having that freedom to just let my film get out and get shown in movie theaters and have them experience it as like a group kind of experience has been fantastic.
That's great. And Edinburgh International Film Festival, you've been here before, and yes.
I think I have been here before. I mean, I should look it up because I've done so many films. But yeah, I just like any film festival I go to, I'm just so excited to participate. Like, I'll show up. I don't care. I'll get myself there, because like that's the thing that I really love as a filmmaker, is that connection with an audience, and to be able to show a movie in a movie theater is just like,
it's everything.
It's everything. Yeah.
And it's so great. Like we show documentary screenings monthly, and for us, it's so, when we find films we love, we just want it to be on the big screen, and like I have to be in there because I brought it all up, negotiated all the rights, so you have to see it on, you know, and see it with an audience, and then it feels totally different, and in every room different. So yeah.
And even though it's the same movie, every theater I've played it in, it plays differently. And I love that aspect about it. It's different from the audience. It's different from the technical, you know, things in the stage, you know, that wherever you're screening it. So yeah, I love all those parts of it.
And I think it was another colleague, because we reviewed it on the show, which this will be on, but who talked about just loving to see the different fans throughout, you know, like across everywhere, like in your film as well, which was just exciting, you know, like that everywhere we have these same responses to these incredible musicians.
Yeah, and I love that, like, I've shown it like in Seattle, and I was like nervous to show it in Seattle because I was like, oh my God, this is where a lot of this music came from. Hopefully they're not going to be so judgmental or whatever. And it was emotional. Like men were coming up to me crying afterwards. Like for some reason, like it hit a real emotional spark there. And then I showed it in Australia, where, you know, at the Sydney Opera House. Oh, wow. And people who had gone to the original concert were there. And then, you know, I just showed it someplace, and like young people come up to me and were like, I've never seen Sonic Youth play live, or, well, you know, I really want to see what the Beastie Boys look like play live. And this is like one place where you're going to be able to see them, because we're not going to see them again.
Yeah. Well, Tamra, thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh my gosh.
Really appreciate it.
Wish
I could talk to you so much longer, but really good luck tonight with the premiere here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll probably be back to see it again with you at the audience.
Oh,
as well.
good.
So,
it's a film you can see over and over again, because it's like listening to your favorite song. Yeah. It's not like, once you've heard it, you can watch it again and again.
Yeah. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay. The only other film I just want to finally mention is Douglas Gordon by Douglas Gordon, and I've been following this because I actually know some of the filmmakers. The Finlay Pretsell, I saw his film Time Trial before at IDFA, my first trip to Amsterdam for that film festival, and also know the editor quite well. Worked with him. This film is really really interesting about the idea of like working with an artist, like an artist, you know, one of the artists right now, his works at the Gagosian in Beverly Hills, you know, and you know, I've highly respect his work, but it is a really raw picture of who this man is, and also sort of how he has this conversation of what this film, why it's Douglas Gordon by Douglas Gordon. It's very much about how he was contemplating and crafting how he's going to tell his story, and how that will exist in a documentary. And I've never seen something so raw in that way. It's also very beautifully shot. The music's fantastic, and it does really interesting ways of like you can see his work through a bit of archive, but it's very much a modern day portrait of an artist who, you know, ultimately is a very complicated person, and, you know, what you would maybe expect but never get to see fully in its raw form. So I really liked this film, and given it's, quite a Scottish film about a really important Scottish artist, I think it was at Berlinale first. It's getting its premiere here. And when we come back, I've talked to Finlay Pretsell, the director, about the film. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. So I'm here with Finlay Pretsell, the director of Douglas Gordon by Douglas Gordon. Finlay, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
I've been fascinated by the role of subject or protagonist and their role as author and performer in documentaries. Like for me, that was really present in films like Grey Gardens. And this theme in your film as performer and co-author is like front and center. And so I really, really loved that from the very beginning. The title credits Douglas twice. Even though you're the director, is this an acknowledgement that he was, never going to remain simply the subject of the film? Or did you discuss that at the very beginning?
We discussed it all the way along, really. It was a constant conversation.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time, or I spent a lot of time just to simply get into his studio. So we'd have these constant conversations and I would record them, and it soon became clear that he was the one that had to be in control. He had to let us in. He had to be ready to do these kind of spontaneous performances. And so it's kind of fair enough. I mean, this is how it should work in a way. You often see so many films that are like, the director has a vision and they're going to force this thing into that vision. And I think I am much more flexible that way. And I want to feel this thing and adapt to what's happening in front of me. And if that means relinquishing some control or some of my ideas that I've had, often it's for the better. When you're working with someone like Douglas, who knows the medium, he knows what an amazing image looks like. He understands cinema far better than I do, and he has he's had a lifetime of this kind of study into the depths of art and cinema making in a way. And I think, who am I to come and sort of say, oh no, but this is what we should be doing, or this is what we should be focusing on. And it was far more interesting. As soon as we'd often be in the studio 12 to 15 hours at a time, which is ages. It's really intense, from 2 PM till 6 AM a lot of the time. And and the magic would often happen at like 1, 2, 3 AM, where we would probably begin shooting for the most part. And in the kind of melee of that, you go away and you're like, oh, what did we do there? What was that? You're confused because it's such an intense, sort of like a nightclub experience that you're kind of discombobulated. We'd leave, not really know, and then we'd go back and have some time to digest and watch it. And it was like, oh, wow, this is brilliant. Yeah. This is so interesting what happens here, or this spontaneous discussion that Douglas has sat at his computer when he's doing this work with me suddenly becomes, oh, this is great. We see all parts of this person, in this unedited, more or less,
and his
discussion.
Studio is gorgeous. It's like this. It's chaotic but gorgeous in this way you couldn't build a set.
Absolutely,
And the footage you have is beautiful. So when you say we, is it you and your camera person came in every time, and so it was like the three of you together?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what we started to realize as well is, like, I always had the idea it would be in his studio, but would that, be able to exist as the film? Would we feel a bit kind of, desperate to sort of get out? But the thing is, the set changed every time we'd go. It was completely different area, where there's like olive trees in there and fans and dark and a projected image of I can't remember who on the sky. It's just like, oh wow,
It's always changing.
Always
and like
changing, yeah.
blow up sometimes. And,
Yeah.
you know, like all these little, like I said, it's like a collage of amazing set that you would expect.
Exactly. And you sort of, this is the way he works, and this is, it's just ideas and things happening and changing, and it's sort of, became fascinating.
Going back, I mean, actually, films about artists is like my favorite genre of documentaries, and I think this one was really unique because as friends who are artists, I find them very brilliant but hard to understand, you know, because I'm not wired that way. But they make these incredible things. Just to go back to just the origin of this, how Scottish artist Zidane, such a fantastic piece of work as well. How and why did you get connected with Douglas Gordon, and how did you build that relationship?
Because of Zidane, A 21st Century Portrait, that film he co-directed with Philippe Pareno. It's like, that to me sent me on my journey. I saw that at Edinburgh Film Festival in 2006. It's 20 years ago. And I was trying to make, or just made, my very first short film about an Olympic cyclist. And what I was always trying to do is like transcend the sport and not just be, as a sport film and just to appeal to cyclists, which is what I've always kind of tried to do. And watching Zidane, A 21st Century Portrait, not being interested in football at all, seeing that, I'm like, wow, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
So I sort of had to meet him, you know, and we met sort of by chance, really, at some sort of gathering here. And what struck me was this amazing artist. He was at the peak of his success in a way, and he could do anything. His films at Cannes, it was lauded. He had this great body of work. He had I think a retrospective in the National Galleries here in Edinburgh. It's like, but he stood and spoke to me for, I don't know, a long time. And I was brought in. He made me feel part of his world. He wasn't speaking down to me. He wasn't the big I am. He was genuinely interested in what I was doing. And it was, for me, it kind of made this incredibly intelligent. He bursts into fluent French, you know, speaking to someone and come back, but just on the level, just this great mind at work. And he sort of looked like, is it Chopper? You remember that film, Chopper?
No.
Australian film. I can't remember the actor's name, but he had this moustache and this big silver chain, tattoos, white shirt. I was like, oh wow, who is this guy? But just so personal and friendly. You're the only person in the room, and it's like, and at that point it was like he'd sort of blew my mind because it was, you know, he just blew my mind with watching his film. So it's sort of amazing to speak to someone so on the level, you know, really nice. But
and then how did it become this documentary? Like, we
kept in touch vaguely by email every now and again, and then the pandemic came. My other film that I was making at the time sort of had to be shelved. So we had time to think, as you know. And I sort of just sent him an email and said, I mean, it's as basic as that. It's such an uninteresting story that I keep telling people. I'm like, oh God, how do I spice this up? I sent him an email, said, what are you up to? Do you fancy doing something together? Very vague, non-specific. And he didn't respond. I emailed him back, said, look, it'd be great to do, or I thought that might be the answer. And he found that devastating. He was like, oh, that was a brutal email. Anyway, a few days later, I'd completely forgotten I'd sent it really. He calls me, Berlin number, don't know who it is. So what's happening? I didn't put two and two together initially. He said, so what do you want to do? short form, fiction, drama series. What do you want to do? And it was like, oh, okay, great. Oh, let's do this. And we just spent the next 2 hours talking, and then after that we just had many conversations.
And that is the film. It's like the process of figuring out what this film is in the film.
Yeah,
it's very meta, but also these conversations.
Yeah,
and your relationship.
Absolutely.
And it's really it's fascinating, but it's also about a struggle.
Yeah,
a struggle of a relationship.
Absolutely, yeah.
And also a struggle of a man.
Yeah.
And you talk a little bit about that. And I mean, that it's certainly from a filmmaker's perspective, you feel it, if you know the process.
Yeah.
I'm worried he's going to, kick you out.
Yeah, we were. No, these conversations on the telephone, we'd always record them. Douglas would always be like, come on, are you recording? He would tell me all the time. And you'd be like, yeah, okay. And at the time, it was a bit of a struggle to record. It wasn't as easy as it is now. It's quite easy just to record it on your phone. So I'd have this recording device. He'd call me whenever. It wasn't like we scheduled calls. So I'd have to put this device next to it a lot of the time. And I sort of I would never expected these phone calls to be in the film necessarily. I would always just think, because it was just these kind of loose, long-winded calls. And then I suppose working with Kieran Gosney, the editor, who's just he's like amazing. He's got this ability to listen and listen and listen and listen and listen again, find those moments that have these, because I found it really difficult to listen to those conversations because I'd gone through them. And after you have this very intense relationship with Douglas, that I just couldn't listen to them, and especially because they're quite sort of confrontational at times. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can't handle it. I can't handle going there. So we would wait to the kind of edit, and sitting with Kieran was the easiest way to do it, really, and go through them and watch this stuff. Same with Martin Radic. I know I'm kind of sort of going off the way the cinematographer, he had this incredible patience, and we have this synergy. Same with Kieran. They're essential. I couldn't think of making a film with anyone else in a way in these kind of conditions. Martin has that curiosity, has an interest in art, and wants to make art. He wants to make cinema. So it had to be someone like him. I couldn't imagine doing it with someone I didn't know as well, or we didn't have that curiosity, which is so key to go on that journey, because I think people would give up. They'd be like, oh, this is too much, or I need a break. I need to get out of here for a while. But Martin just went along with it, which was kind of beautiful.
I think that's hard too.
Yeah. But I think this thing of I go into any film I'm making with an open mind. I have this idea of a scene or two that may or may not make it into the film, the finished film, and try and adapt to the person I'm shooting, rather than, I've just been on a jury in Kosovo, and you see these films that it's a beautiful film festival called DocuFest. If you ever can go, please go. And I was part of the environmental films jury. Who knows why? But it's people telling you exactly what is happening. And it's like, and people forcing their sort of vision onto this thing, and you feel the filmmaker instantly. And I never had any ambition to be in that film, but if I wasn't, the film would be really inauthentic. My film, Douglas, because he drags you in, he would drag you in, he would drag anybody in. The postman, he would bring them into some sort of experience, or he forces you to participate, which is really exciting. But I couldn't think of doing a film in any other way, of having an idea and thinking, oh yeah, this is how I'm going to do it, which is, you do think like that. Yeah. And then initially you've got to just sort of give all that up and think, well, this is what I find at this point. And you have to make that film. And it's a sort of play. The film is a play. It's a conceit, of course, It's, it doesn't happen in real time, but it is chronological for sure, and it's any film's a conceit, You
mentioned patience, but certainly I feel like empathy comes through, and the way that you portray Douglas Gordon, and also the way that you react and respond to his interrogations and whatnot. I wonder how Douglas feels. I mean, I know he's excited about the film because I read that, but how he felt about it, after seeing it.
Well, he found it really difficult to watch. It's very personal and intimate, but he's so grateful, which is an amazing thing for a film. For me, making a film about a person who's a real person, that kind of gratitude is kind of something I've never really experienced, you know, to realize that we have spent that time to make this thing about him when we could make it about I could choose anyone, you know, as you say, you know, but we've spent that time, and just to recognize that, because of course it's a kind of sort of two-way street, you know, he wants something from you. He wants to make sure that you're making a good film, all this kind of stuff. But no, he's been really excited, and he's watched it, I don't know how many times, you know, but
that's
so
great.
he's really excited about it. But I think he finds it a strange process to be in a room full of people watching it.
Yeah, of course.
As much as I would really
Well, I mean,
like
it
that.
is very intimate, and it's about his struggles, and it's really powerful. And it does just blend such a great way to see how you put the artwork within that. One last question quickly. Because you're here in Edinburgh, you're an Edinburgh-based filmmaker. How important was it to bring it to the Edinburgh International Film Festival?
It was essential. It couldn't be anywhere else. It's like anywhere else in the UK for sure. It's like, this is where my career started. At the Edinburgh Film Festival. It's where I met Douglas. His film, Zidane, 21st Century Portrait, I saw it at the Edinburgh Film Festival 20 years ago. So it's like it's vital. It's really important to be here. The home crowd, it's Douglas's home, Scotland, you know, it's like, or where he's from. And it's really nice. It's like, although I'm nervous about that home crowd and, you know, what, and I have this ridiculous thing, I think a lot of people do, it's not a new thing, but showing a film, you have 100 people say, "Oh, I loved it, amazing, great." And one person says something that just, it makes me, they didn't get that, or they didn't, oh man, that drives me crazy. That's the thing I'm thinking about for days afterwards, you know, and I'm like, it doesn't matter, you know, you have to just shove that aside, which is like not helpful.
Well, I have to say, I didn't know what to expect, but I've seen your time trial, and I love Kieran's work, and I really think it was absolutely beautiful and stunning, and so thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
No, thanks very much for having me.
So far, you've really enjoyed, and I think Garry, you were mentioning extra geography, and we had we did a few little interviews with the cast and the director, but to tell us about that film and what you thought about it.
So Extra Geography is based on a 2007 short story by Rose Tremaine, and it's the debut feature from Molly Manners, who's adapted that story, and it follows two best friends called Flick and Minna, who are students together at a boarding school in Yorkshire, and it kind of tells a story of they're really like joined at the hip and inseparable, and they kind of they want to do everything together and be at the same level of, I guess, grown up as each other, but inevitably, as we all know, you kind of grow up with friends in high school and you think you're going to be friends forever, and then like there's these little cracks in the friendship and you kind of go off on your separate things. So the film tells a story of that, I guess, across a term. It's really sweet and funny. It's a debut film for both the young women that play Flick and Minna, Marnie Duggan and Galaxy Clear, and they're both fantastic. You feel like they've been friends. They really feel like they're best friends in the film, and they've got like such a sort of friendly chemistry between each other, and there's such a like wit and charm to it. It kind of feels a little bit like Britain's answer to Booksmart, a little bit. It's kind of got this like strange tone to it, and I think it's set in like the early to mid 2000s.
Yeah, like early noughties is
yeah,
what they said. Yeah,
which is when I was at high school. Obviously, this is set at an all girls boarding school, but it still kind of has that sense of time and place, like that feeling of being at high school at that time, before everyone had smartphones and stuff. So yeah, it's quite nice to see a film about kids that they're not vaping and running around with smartphones. So yeah, I really like this one.
Yeah, I mean, people have been mentioning a bit like a book smart for, like the UK boarding school world or whatnot. And also it was nice to see at the press lines, the writer very much came up with the idea, and as well as the producers. The writer writes for Succession and whatnot. And I thought this would be a really good, a take on the short story, as you said, would be a really good feature film to make. And the producer produced The Outrun, actually. So,
yes.
So it was it's nice to see kind of this all female writer, director, producer sort of team coming together, bringing this film, and then these beautiful performances, as you said. I thought they were just so good. And then also to talk to them a little bit, we have a little clip from them right here about their experience playing their roles.
What's like really interesting about the characters in the film is how realistic they are as adolescents and as teenage girls. So I think when I was preparing for Minna, I kind of drew in a lot of my own experiences of kind of balancing being really confident and assuming that, the world's your oyster, you're there to conquer it, but also you're dealing with these internal insecurities and how that kind of conflict between confident yet insecure happens. And I think also, it was Brat's summer, and I tried to channel the Brat with Minna. I don't know if that comes through, but there was a lot of Charlie XCX played in the making.
I guess I'd have to say that I definitely relate to Flick a lot. I think the way our brains work are very similar. She has a very black and white, all or nothing way of thinking. So I think, and the emotions, she's so sensitive and so intense. And I think how I prepared for that is I look back in moments in my life where I would have felt angry, betrayed, hurt, jealous, upset, and I really just channeled that and channeled my younger self, like my 13, 14, 15-year-old self into that. And her rage, it became a point where I literally was walking with my hand in my fist like this. It just became a habit that I did as Flick. So yeah, I think I just tried to immerse myself as much as I could emotionally into the character.
And anyway, so that's Extra Geography. I thought it was a great film, and fun to see. So highly recommend you seeing that. I'm sure it will have, with all the funding and whatnot, it'll have a release in the UK if you don't.
I'm excited to see it when I can.
It's been picked up already by Vertigo, and it's coming out in the UK at the beginning of October.
So that is your favorite. And for you, Mariana, what would you be one of your favorite picks?
One of my favorites, outside of the ones that I've already talked about, was The Arrow at Rest to Every Instant of Its Flight, which it is a mouthful of a title, which is, fun. But yeah, they described it as a Lynchian film. It's really not that Lynchian. I actually think the Lynchian bits are kind of the weakest parts of the film, but it's a story told in like 3 parts, kind of disconnected stories following the same actress as she plays different roles, and interspersed with this old lady that carries a suitcase full of clocks around. And it's very French New Wave inspired. It's like the editing and the music. It's all very, very Nouvelle Vague-ish, and it's really fun. Like the editing is great. The actors are fantastic. The first section is like these 2 amusement park workers. One of them is played by Jack Haven from I Saw the TV Glow, and they're like trying to make money, so they try to do a heist. And it's really, but they're very bad at it. So they're just like trying to come up with ways to make more money. And it's a fun little comedy section. And the second section is like a relationship drama, which feels even more French New Wave. And the third section is like a like a young woman who's trying to help this lady with her mom's poker debt or something. And it's great. I thought it was so well made, and the main actress is so good at every section. She plays completely different roles every time, and she's very weird in like a fun. It's just like kind of like Sarah Pigeon a bit, and like what's the name of the actress from Electric Children? The main actress, Julia Gardner. She's very like Julia Gardner, Sarah Pigeon kind of vibe. She's a bit quirky and weird, but it's just great. I had a good time watching. It was very surprising. I wasn't expecting to see what it was, so I really enjoyed it. It's a kind of a hidden gem, I think, for the festival.
Great. You've sold me with this French New Wave stuff, and I also think some other people have been saying it's really great. And I think it was a Linda Miles select or something like that. I'm not sure. That the former very famous Edinburgh Film Festival director that's been kind of has been part of helping with the festival come back and whatnot. Any others you liked, you hated? Any really bad ones that we should just
Avoid. Body hackers.
Yeah.
Eek.
Yeah, I know it's not always like great to like pan a film at a film festival, but I think body hackers didn't really work for me. I think it's kind of like this body horror that kind of wants to be like a Cronenberg.
As a certified Cronenberg girly, I was so irritated by that whole film.
Yeah.
It's like trying to be Crimes of the Future and Crash,
exactly.
and it failed spectacularly.
Yeah, it's like this kind of surgeries and sex like inspired this. And it's kind of it wants to be a pastiche, but it kind of like falls into being like a parody almost. Of like the like bad acting. Yeah, there's a guy, the main character or one of the main characters is called Denver Blake, and it's just like it's really funny, but I don't know if it's intentionally funny.
It's like those film noir parody movies. Yeah, I really thought it was gonna be in Portuguese for some reason, because with the filmmakers, I think Portuguese, and I was I just sat there and I was like, oh, why is this in English? I was annoyed because I was expecting it to be in Portuguese, and I was kind of irritated that it wasn't. But that's my own beef with it. But generally, it was the body horror wasn't very good, and the storytelling wasn't very successful. I didn't really get the point of they were trying to make. I was like, was this anti-plastic surgery or pro-plastic surgery, or like in the middle?
Yeah. I think he was supposed to be anti and then kind of gets seduced by the world of plastic surgery, but it didn't really have much of a story. It was kind of just like mad scene after mad scene sort of loosely stitched together. And it wasn't great.
It wasn't great.
I think this filmmaker's had like a extensive background in making films in Portuguese, and he's made a bunch of music videos and stuff. So this is his foray into English language. So I guess like this one doesn't work, but it's not to say he's a bad filmmaker. It hasn't been a hit.
Sometimes you can't really translate your sensibilities into a different language, which is fine.
Or maybe this one just didn't work.
I don't think it worked. I think you should just go watch Crimes of the Future instead.
Yeah.
Any others to check out, or any other thoughts, like any other moments of utter excitement? You had a good time, you've mentioned the Kaylee was fun. Any other things?
I saw These Violent Delights, the Romeo and Juliet Shakespeare ballet, and I just decided to go on a whim because I had some time to spare, and it's a really beautiful, interesting experiment of filming a ballet dance as though it were a film. So it's not like the camera moves a lot and they have sets and they have all this crazy editing. I don't know that it's a good adaptation of Romeo and Juliet because they changed the story so much and they make it so queer that it kind of loses the point of Romeo and Juliet. But the dancing is incredible. There's like a drag scene where they do some voguing ballet in the middle, and the music is great. So it's like, I almost really like it, but then it's kind of an unsuccessful Romeo and Juliet, so you have to like forget there's Romeo and Juliet and just enjoy it as like a beautiful ballet. Although I wish they just committed and just made it gay. That would have been better. But yeah, that was an interesting experiment. So if you like ballet, you might really like it because it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. And Garry, anything else? highlights?
Yeah, there's another really good film. It's like a tricky one to say that you like enjoyed it because it's such like bleak subject matter, but it's called Queen at Sea, and it's directed by Lance Hammer, and it's got 3 amazing performances in it. Juliette Binoche, Tom Courtenay, and Anna Calder-Marshall. Yeah, they're all fantastic in it, but it's about Juliette Binoche's character walks in on her mum having sex with her stepdad, and the characters are like maybe around like in their late 80s, 90s, and her mum has got dementia. So it kind of creates this like moral issue around like consent, and they kind of explore that through these characters. But it's superbly acted. It's just yeah, it's quite harrowing, quite moving, but yeah, it's great to see these actors at the top of their game.
Yeah, and we caught Anna Calder-Smith and Tom Courtenay at the premiere of the film at Cineworld, and so here's a little excerpt that from Veronica Buccino's interview with them.
Well, you learn what you're supposed to say. She hardly has any lines, so it was easy for her.
But we did have a kind of meeting in my house.
Yes, we did.
Where
Also, this is important.
this is really important.
In this very city, many years ago, we were in Hamlet together.
I was
And he
Ophelia.
played Ophelia and I was Hamlet. So that was sort of very good preparation.
So you knew each other already. You were
Yes.
already used to each other.
So that hurt
A long time ago.
a long time ago.
And even if you're with your character, you didn't have that many lines, it was quite difficult to portray a person with dementia. How did you find about it? How was it for you?
I watched a lot of people who had dementia and took it from there. But should we talk about how you came to the house and we just improvised, and that was the core?
Yeah,
that,
yes.
that was the
with
core
your
of the film.
to Juliet, who wasn't there. We sort of made things up.
We made,
Story.
made up a story, which was then
We used Annie's. She draws, so we used all those aspects of her, and then we used ourselves. Really, that's what you do.
And I also loved the development between your character and Amanda's character, because at the end, eventually you end up to understand each other's.
Yeah.
yes.
So how did you approach this with Juliet?
The more we've got to know one another, the more fun we had, and I think she trusted the both of us, and she got happier the further we went and the more we started laughing.
I think it's overall pretty good festival, guys.
Yeah, lots of really good stuff, I think.
Yeah, it's been great. I've been kind of juggling it a little bit with some of the social aspects of the
Yeah.
film festival and like my
That's
day
good.
job at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen as many films as Mariana has, but yeah, I've really enjoyed what I've seen and had a good time Ceilidh dancing with some of the directors and actors and stuff last night. There was a good turnout at the Ceilidh, so
Yeah,
everyone
that
seems to
was
be
fun.
having a good time.
And we're recording it Sunday, so we still have 2 more days if we want to get the rest of these things in. So,
Yeah, there's plenty of time.
but yeah, when you hear this, it will be over, but you'll be checking hopefully them all out in all the ways that you can. But thanks again for coming and being part of another fabulous EIFF special.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for having me.
Okay, great.